Welcome, everybody. I am Bess Arrington on behalf of Taskaway Virtual Assistance Agency. And joining me today, we've got Misty Taylor, who is a virtual assistant for Taskaway and has been for a couple of years, I think, if not more. And one of Taskaway's clients, Michelle, I'll make sure I pronounce her name, Michelle Allegrezza, and she is a client who owns Sparkling Homes, which is a cleaning service, and Misty is her virtual assistant. So one of the things that we're going to do today is sort of come up with, some solutions to some misconceptions that people might have about virtual assistants, because in my work with Taskaway, I have come across some strange misconceptions. One of them being that virtual assistants are AI bots. That's what pops up on your screen if you go to someone's website. Another misconception is that a virtual assistant is sort of like a business luxury. It's someone that if you're a big business person, Fortune 500, or you're an influencer or celebrity, you get to have a virtual assistant. Sort of like this concept of personal assistants, which of course we know is not true. And then the third, which is the flip of that, is that a lot of people seem to think that if you have a brick and mortar business or that you have a customer facing business where you are, interacting with your customers on a personal basis, that you need to have someone on the ground in front of your customers face to face, which with the pandemic, remote work seems to be normalized. So we know that that's not necessarily true either, because I think there's this idea, sort of an old fashioned idea, in the 21st century, that legit communication can be done remotely, just like we're doing here. That's one of the things I want to talk about is how maybe some of the misconceptions, maybe you had Misty before you were a VA and Michelle before you hired one, because we've had some communication before this interview. And I know both of you, this wasn't necessarily exactly what you wanted and how it was going to be done right from the very beginning. So in addition to those misconceptions, what, from Michelle's point of view, has been the benefits of having a virtual assistant in your business? And from Misty's point of view, how has being a virtual assistant been a very impactful career choice for you? Okay, so y'all ready? Yeah. All right, so let's start with Michelle. Michelle, tell us a little bit about your business and what was going on before you decided that you wanted to pursue hiring a virtual assistant?
Yeah, so the first time I had a virtual assistant, I was only about 6 months old in my business. And I had realized that I just couldn't do everything. I was still out in the field cleaning, so I couldn't continue to stop what I was doing in order to answer the phones. I did end up going through a couple of virtual assistants, and I begged and pleaded to get Misty. So I still remember the day that I called her, and I was bawling my eyes out saying, Misty, please, you need to help me.
Oh, so did you know Misty beforehand?
I had met Misty. So I had met you, maybe 6 months before hiring you. So Misty lives in Missouri. I live in Minnesota. And I had gone down to Missouri for a get together with Courtney Wisely, who she's the one who kind of got Misty in touch with Taskaway in the first place.
Okay.
So I had met Misty at this get together. It was the virtual assistants and and her cleaning techs for her business all getting together. And so I went down there and I met with the virtual assistant that I had at the time. And that was super exciting. And that's when I met Misty. And then the virtual assistant that I had took on a different position somewhere else. So that's when I called Misty, and I was just bawling my eyes out saying, I need your help. I need it so badly. And she calmed me down. She was like, it's okay, Michelle, we got this. It's okay. It's like, we totally got this.
Okay, so let me ask you, what was the anxiety? What was the click with Misty that didn't seem to be the click with the previous VA?
Mainly that Misty had experience. So Misty knew what was going on. She was a complete badass, if I can say badass. And the person that I had been paired with, she was really good in her own right. There were some learning curves there, and a lot of how I set my business up was based off of her learning abilities. So we've kept a lot of those things within our business that I feel have really helped us out. But there were a lot of mistakes that were being made due to those abilities. And then when she left, it was just kind of I don't think she even gave notice. I guess I don't even remember now, but she might have given just like a week's notice, and that was not enough time for me to be able to find somebody else as well.
Right. Because that's one of the things that I've heard people who seem to be confused about what a VA can bring to a business is the onboarding process. I'm going to have to stop everything and, train someone to do things, because in their mind, they think it's all the things. I have to know all the things about this business. They have to know all the things about my business in order for them to work with me. So Misty, from your point of view, what, coming into this profession and discovering, where you fit and what you could bring to the table, how did that work for you?
Well, I had no idea. I didn't scroll all the way down to the end of the application to see that it was a virtual job, that it was an at-home job. And so I thought I was going to be working in an office setting. And whenever I was told, so why do you want to work from home? I said, oh, I don't. Like, I do not. And she goes, well, I think that we're done here then. I said, hold on now. I don't give up that easy, So coming in as a virtual assistant, there's so much to learn. There's so many automations, and Michelle's so good at that, building automations and seeing dashboards and knowing all that stuff. So she has everything at hand for me that I need, at a quick glance. And so I had to build it for other companies, but when I came to Michelle, it was already there, and all I had to do was step in, so there's just a lot to learn as a VA. And you said it, there's a ton to learn. There's a lot of automations. There's a lot of onboarding and customer platforms, booking platforms, and then there's just so much to learn in the beginning. And thankfully, I started out with a smaller company who was, they get a lot of customers, but they're more move in, move out, where Michelle's more recurring. So, when I came in with Michelle, I think it was less than 100 customers, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because Michelle,
for sure.
Yeah, because in the 2.5 years I've been with Michelle, we have over doubled the customer base. The numbers look amazing. I love looking at them. I have no idea how she does it. She's magic, but I like looking at them,
Well, and just like because I
hold on. It's Misty that does it, though. It's Misty that does it.
That's what I was about to say.
I don't build the automations. I don't build all that. That's you. I get to look at the numbers that I do.
Well, so just sort of aggregating all this together, then, knowing what you, from a business owner's perspective, knowing what you want and what you need is important. If you just need help, then that's not going to be helpful in hiring an assistant. And then knowing what your skill set is and being honest about what you don't know as a VA coming into a new position and having, very free conversations and communication to help that process of getting to know one another and the business itself and what you can bring.
There was a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
Phone calls in the beginning.
Well, and also too, like I've been on, Michelle's website, and from the first time I went on it, and when I went on it most recently, there are spots, cleaning technicians, right? Like, we're booked, we're completely booked, but we have more cleaning technicians coming in. And she does give you credit, Misty, for that customer service, retaining clients and making the process easy for the client end of things. That growth is something that she gives you a lot of credit for. That has made her, it's made her freed up her time to do what she does best, which I think is one of the things that when business owners hire contract workers of any sort, that it's buying their own freedom to do what they actually love to do. So what do you think, Michelle, on that end, specifically to your business, your cleaning business, because you are sort of that customer front type of business that some people might think, oh, it's a remote person answering the phone. They're not really part of our business, that sort of thing. What do you think about that, about how it's freed you up professionally and personally?
Well, first off, I have to laugh at this because Misty does such a great job of not even letting people know that she doesn't live here.
Yeah.
And people all the time are like, the directions to my house, you turn left at that big tree that's on 180th. And she's just like, okay, yep, great. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So she does a great job of not necessarily letting on that she doesn't live here. But I don't feel that it's hindered our business in any way whatsoever, because Misty is so personable and she is so great with all the clients, and she really builds the rapport. I mean, I feel that, Misty does a great job of building the rapport just as much as the cleaning techs who are actually in all of our clients' homes. Misty has clients calling her just to chat with her sometimes.
Well, there's personalized customer service right there.
Yeah.
For sure. And, this is all the stuff that, it's super important to me because I am an extroverted person and I cherish the relationships that I have with different people. And I actually started cleaning as a solo cleaner back in 1999. And that was how I felt that I really built my business, was on the rapport that I had with the clients. So removing myself from the daily business grind, that was the part that, made me so nervous, was because then I was no longer going to be having that relationship with the clients. But that's also how I've been able to grow and scale, is by taking myself out of that, but by having Misty, who is so much like me in her personality. So I'm able to, by extension, have a relationship with these clients that I have no idea who they are. I know their name from ZenMaid, and that's about it. But I feel like I still have the relationship with these clients too, because Misty and I have a very similar personality.
And that's a really good point. Being able to make sure that, the people that you are working with, particularly if they're the ones that have more of a one-on-one relationship with your customers, represent you. And, in the marketing world, you call it your brand voice, right? Literally Misty's voice. Represents your brand voice, right? So that it's like you said, an extension of yourself and what you want your company, your brand, to project out to the clients: friendliness, helpfulness, and service, because that's the business that you're in. So Misty, what do you think? What is it that you specifically do for Michelle that allows her to grow as a businesswoman and fulfills you as a virtual assistant in your career choice?
So my sales ability is off the charts. Like I could be selling hot dogs straight out the pack, like $5 each. I'm just a good salesperson. And then the satisfaction of booking somebody from a phone call. I mean, I send Michelle messages. I'm like, just got off the phone, booked one, just those kind of goals. And Michelle will set goals. Hey, I'd like to reach this amount by this date. And I'm like, watch this. Even if they're unattainable goals, there's still something for me to reach for. And even if I get 3/4 of that way, I'm impressed with myself. Michelle's overly impressed because her goals are doubly set, so she sets up and then I'm like, here we go. And I truly, that's my satisfaction. I love that feeling of reaching a goal and feeling like I've succeeded. So, and then also I like immediate satisfaction. So whenever I book those clients from a phone call, or if they, receive a quote and then I call them that day, or sometimes if they do it on like a Friday night, I'll call them Monday. And if I could book them from that initial quote, I mean, it's just that immediate satisfaction. And it's the thrill. It's the thrill of the chase for me. I mean, and I think that is perfect for a virtual assistant to have, because I mean, we need that satisfaction. People like me with ADHD have to have immediate satisfaction.
And deadlines.
Do what?
And deadlines.
Yeah, and deadlines, exactly. Because we will procrastinate until the deadline comes up.
Right. Okay. And that brings up a really good question for you, Misty, is that what if for other people who are considering going into a career as a virtual assistant? And I have a really good friend who was in public relations and in human resources, and with the pandemic and the scramble of all of her and her husband's jobs, when I mentioned I was associated with Taskaway, she goes, "Well, how does that work? How like I've been thinking about that too," because she has a certain skill set, right, that she could bring to the position. So from your point of view as a virtual assistant, what do you think are some basic hard skills and soft skills that you think, just before you really have a niche down, like sales, or, you do a lot of phone calls, from what I understand, answering emails and phone calls. So what do you think would be the hard skills and soft skills that would be really good basic things to have before you got started?
The hardest is the selling. It is just the hardest. And if you can find a way to send the same message to everybody that gets a reaction. When I say reaction, I don't mean a bad reaction or a fantastic reaction, but like hope to hear back, or, just a question and then hope to hear back, but be like uber friendly. And so that they're like, well, even if I don't go with them, I still want to let them know, thanks for reaching out, whatever. So I get a lot that come back, that say that they're not interested, but I think it's the way you put it out there. So sales is super, super difficult. And it took me a long time to figure out how to do that, because I'm very straightforward and blunt, but it took me a long time to figure out sales in both all the markets that I work in, because they're all different. You have to understand that your East Coast clients are not as laid back as your Midwest clients. They want to talk now and they want it done. So just knowing where you're working, that was difficult. Figuring out, learn the demographic, figure out what, the pace of it. So my East Coast customer, it is hard. Like, they're fast. They want it done tomorrow, where my Midwest customers, as they say, Minnesota nice, they're so friendly. I'm looking into June right now, in the middle of June, and they're perfectly fine with it. They're like, oh, no, that's great. And I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. So just finding out your demographic, researching it. I've done a lot of research on where I'm at, where I'm looking, how far away things are. I have my Google Maps pulled up all the time. So just researching the demographic. And then the easy thing is, I would just say, being personable. Just when you answer a phone, literally smile, because it shows, so whenever I answer the phone, Michelle and I, we started whenever I was in the heat of my divorce. It was just the saddest time of my life. And even if I just got done crying, even if I was in the middle of crying, the phone rang, I answered with a smile, because that's the most simple thing you can do to, book a customer, to just build rapport. Right. So I say the hardest is the sales, knowing where you're selling and how to sell. And then the easiest would be just smile, even if you're having a bad day, just answer the phone with a smile. Really, I promise it works.
Exactly. I completely understand. I 100% agree. All right. So Michelle, what would you recommend from the business owner side of what does a business owner need to understand, be prepared to do when they believe it's time to outsource and pull a VA into their business? What do you think what would be your advice to a business owner?
Take stock on the things that you don't enjoy doing or that you're not good at doing, and hire for that. When I was very first starting my business, I refused to outsource anything. I was like, this is my business. I need to learn how to do every single part of my business. But very quickly, I was like, but I hate sales. I hate it, not because I hate sales, but because I'm a talker. And I get on the phone and I'm on the phone for 45 minutes. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to or what. And then I'm limited on the amount of people I get to talk to because I'm on the phone forever. So it doesn't work for me. So, that was the very first thing that I needed to outsource. I most recently outsourced, I was going to say I most recently outsourced hiring. But I guess I most recently outsourced that as far as that is somebody else's job now. Misty was doing some of it, but it was kind of like going back and forth between the two of us, and neither one of us owned it. And now we have another assistant that's local that actually that does the interviews and the hiring and the orientations and everything involved with new employees starting. And it's not because it was something that I didn't enjoy doing, but it was something that I didn't consistently have the time to do. So just taking stock on, if you don't enjoy it, that is the very first thing to get off your plate. And if you're not good at it, take it off your plate. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you just don't have time to do this kind of stuff. So make sure that it's going on the plate of somebody who fully has the time to be able to do that. And I think that's where Sparkling Homes really flourished. Is just recently we have promoted 2 of our other cleaning techs into more management roles. And, the very first thing that I asked Misty then, as soon as we hired these people, is what do you want off of your plate? So it's, and what she enjoys doing is different than what I enjoy doing, which is different than what my other assistants enjoy doing. So we've been able to kind of spread the work around so that everybody's doing what they enjoy doing and what they're good at doing. And that's where Sparkling Homes really made that push. And I feel became a solid business.
Yeah, that's really good advice. That's basic leadership advice, quite frankly.
Right.
and also too, in terms of, freeing up time, outsourcing what other people enjoy, what you don't enjoy. The whole, right now, AI is a huge topic of news and conversation in all sorts of industries. So when it comes to automation, I know you and Misty have done a lot of work together. And you had already had things started. She was aware in other businesses what needs to be automated. And you mentioned in our communication before that you had there's a lot of fear when it came to automation, that some of the people that worked with you were concerned that the more you automated, the less you needed them. When quite frankly, having Misty, who understands how automation works and frees up time, was actually beneficial. Like Misty's still here. You're fully, you have a great deal of automation from what I understand. So how does that work? Because I think sometimes when people, business owners who like you, I need to do everything. And they realize they can't, and they don't want to, and they don't have to. And they're ready to make that decision to outsource in some way. Now there are things that they need to learn in order to automate and outsource. So from a business standpoint, particularly for someone who's just trying to determine whether a VA is works for them, what sort of automation, particularly to your industry or in general, do you think is a good first, second, and third step?
Yeah. So a lot of people think that automations are going to take away their jobs. Here's the thing. Here's what automation does. It eliminates like double entry type stuff. it eliminates the tedious stuff that a person would have to do if you didn't have these automations. We use a couple different softwares, and we're able to link them together so that, when somebody fills out a quote, it goes into all of the other systems. Whereas if we didn't have that automation, that's something that Misty would have to do, is she'd have to put it into ClickUp, put it into ZenMaid, put it into MailChimp. So it eliminates that kind of stuff. So, does it take work away from Misty? Maybe a little bit, but it probably makes her job a lot less frustrating. And she's able to work on the higher level things then, instead of just double entry or triple entry into the different softwares that we have. So I would say start doing stuff like that for your automations and build from there. I mean, the automations that we have, one of the automations that we have set up is we automatically send out quote emails to our clients. So they fill out the request a quote form. It automatically goes into ZenMaid, automatically goes into MailChimp. It automatically sends them an email, and then they get it right away, and they don't have to sit there and wait for us to contact them, especially if they contacted us at like 6:00 on a Friday night. They're not getting an answer until Monday at 8 a.m. then. So at least then they have that information. We also did an automation where we send them a form where they can book themselves. So if they get the quote and they're like, yeah, cool, sign me up, then they can sign up themselves. So they don't have to wait until 8 a.m. to get that taken care of. So then, maybe Misty's job is eliminated a little bit, because she doesn't, at 8 a.m., she doesn't have to send out the quote. She doesn't have to put all the information into all the different areas. She doesn't have to contact them to get them to sign up with us, because they've already signed up. And then all Misty has to do then is call them, get the rest of the details of, what are the things that are important to you, confirm that we have the time and, the time and date available for them, assign a cleaner to it, get the cleaner, all the notes. That is also automated through ZenMaid. So it allows her to work on the higher level things than, just the tedious tasks.
Good. I mean, what do you think, Misty? Like, what advantages as someone who is a virtual assistant, what advantages do you see in using automated components from your perspective?
I know you had mentioned that, and Michelle did too, that maybe, it's taking part of the job away from me, but when actually it's not. It is such a benefit for me to have all of that taken care of, so I can focus on booking the customers. So with that quote going out and everything, and it goes everywhere it needs to go, I don't have to worry about, if it was sent or anything like that. I just strictly get to call those customers and get them on the schedule. So it relieves a lot of headache for me, and it helps me out a ton.
Right. Yeah. And that's
automation.
That's one of the things that I've noticed too. As a small business owner who has a freelance business, is that my time is money, and the time that I'm doing booking and the time I'm doing a lot of things that could be automated is time I'm not writing. It's time I'm not strategizing. It's time I'm not having meetings with my clients. So it's completely, but I think it's very scary for a lot of people who haven't used something. Like for me, Asana is I love Asana. That's one of the things, and I'm not being paid to say this. It helps me keep everything straight and my personal schedule and all of the things I need for individual clients. And otherwise, my desk looks like that's where legal pads go to die, and what information is in what legal pad. So so being able to, I would think as a VA, aware of certain types of automation prior to working with, that you could also be helpful to a business owner that may realize it's necessary, but doesn't know necessarily where to go, what to choose, how to do that. So what would you recommend as far as like I said before, the skill set that a VA might need when it comes to automation, to be able to say, I understand these basic functions? Because once you know one, it's easier to kind of, into something else. So what would you recommend a VA, someone who's interested in doing this add to their resume?
I would see what kind of task platform they have, what type of booking platform they have, because they need to work together. And then just there's tutorials everywhere on Google, YouTube. Just the basic knowledge helps you understand. And then once you get in with that company, that's when you're going to find out how they like to do things. So Michelle, what we used to do was we would take it from like our new lead when they would call in, and then it'd be phone call, text message, email, phone call, text message, email, and then lost. But because we have so many people requesting quotes all the time, the length of time from moving it through those channels, they were like sometimes a week apart, like from the text to the email or from the phone call to the text. Sometimes they were a little further than, the customer would even worry about. So what I do is I just leave it, what works for me and for my brain is leaving it in the new lead, because then I know exactly who I've called, who I've messaged. Because if you know your platform, you can screenshot, post it in there, you know exactly what you've done. You jot in there what they say on the phone calls. And so I let them sit there, because then I know what order they were in. And because sometimes people will pick up the phone, for that initial phone call. And so you would put them in the text, right? But sometimes loads of people do not answer the phone, but they will text you right back. Yeah. So if I put them already in the text, well, then I won't talk to them for another week. I won't be reminded. So it's just kind of knowing how your client has their platform laid out once you get in with them, though. So it's how they have it laid out, but you also have to know what's going to work best for you. Do it their way, the way they are comfortable with, but then you're going to find, oh, I've tweaked this. This kind of works better for me, and I'm still getting the same results. Right. So as long as you're getting the results your client is requesting, then you can tweak a little bit. I think that's going to be like the soft part of knowing it, but that's only after you're in, because it's difficult to know it, but you got to do your research. You have to do your homework and know these platforms and how they work together and how they're integrated.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, Michelle, do you have any sort of onboarding process? I know you said that Misty was already well informed on a lot of the processes that you had in place, and you just kind of, took off from there. But as far as onboarding is concerned, what sort of onboarding procedures or information resources do you have available for people that come in to work for you?
Yeah, so we have a video series that we have that we are consistently updating now that we have the other two people on our leadership team as well. Everybody's kind of in charge of making sure that they're making the videos of the processes of what they're doing. What's been super amazing is I have everybody trained in so well on our platforms that I'm able to now say, hey, just recently I said, I want a time price audit. I want to know what the average hourly rate is for each cleaning that we're doing. And, I want you to build it out. So somebody on our leadership team was like, awesome, I got it. And then she made a video of how to use it, so that if anybody else ends up having to come in to do that, because she's getting married next week, she's going to have a week off. So somebody else is going to have to do that job. She owns that job, but she also understands that somebody else is going to have to do it while she's gone. So we have a video made. It's in our ClickUp platform under the training videos. So we just have, modules of this for each little thing. I mean, even as far down to what do you do when a client skips an appointment? There is a video of exactly how to do it.
Oh, great. So you have a resource library for your employees then?
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really helpful. All right. So as far, let's sort of like pull this together then. So what for you, Michelle, since you're on the screen, you've mentioned the benefits, the overall benefits of having a VA, but before you even, had one, thought you had to do everything. from that point to where you are now, like I said, I've seen your website and you have, cleaning technicians are on their way. We're fully booked, right? So the growth seems to be really, really healthy. So what benefits, as specific as you can, has Misty brought into the growth of your business?
Oh my gosh, she has been the growth of our business. So, I mean, Misty said it earlier. She is a shark at sales. And that was absolutely one of the things that I was looking for. Before contacting Misty, I contacted Maria and I was like, I need a shark and I need one now. And she was like, Misty's your girl. And I'm going, well, that's perfect because I've met her. I know other people that she's worked for, and everybody says the same thing about Misty. So she really, really, really is a shark at sales. And that is so amazing. And, honestly, like what other people may not need a shark at sales. Maybe they are the shark or somebody else, they already have somebody else, but maybe they need help with something else. There are VAs for anything you could possibly need. And each person has their own skill set. And I needed what Misty has for her skill set. So that's, what attracted us so much to each other in the first place. And then it definitely helps that we have very similar personalities. We both have the outgoing, the extrovertedness of us. So, I mean, they're like all the other pieces fit together. But really, like getting a VA, you really need to take stock in what you need for your own business. And I don't feel that every VA is necessarily the perfect fit for your business because each VA has a different skill set. Right. And that was, some of the issues that I had previously is that I had been paired with people that didn't have the skill set that I was needing and looking for. But I mean, the growth since Misty has joined our team, it has been amazing. And the amount that she has taught me, I mean, I know I'm technically her boss, but I feel like I have learned and grown so much from Misty. And I mean, just even how we talk to our cleaning techs, like it was always my intention to be, the great boss that everybody wants to come to, but I wasn't there. And, there were so many things, we live in Minnesota, we have snow days all the time. I had, tons of employees who would just be like, no, I'm not going to go drive out in the snow. And I'm going, dang it, you live in Minnesota. You have to go clean these houses. And, these cleaning techs would message in being, I don't want to drive in the snow. And Misty's like, I totally understand. I get it. Let me contact the clients. We'll reschedule for you. And I'm going, what are you doing? But I mean, just something as small as that, where, nobody, in my other life, I'm an EMT, and nobody is going to die if we don't go and clean their house. And it took a lot for me to realize that, if I don't do CPR on somebody who needs CPR, they are going to die. However, if we don't go and clean a house, they are not going to die. It is going to be okay. Yeah. So it took some time for me to get that perspective. And Misty has definitely shown me like how a great leader really leads. And, our cleaning techs are really the ones that are the most valuable within our business. If we don't have the cleaning techs, the clients can't come. And, then Misty can't do her job and we don't have a business. So our cleaning techs are the center of our world. And we need to do what we can to make them happy and satisfied and loving their jobs. And that, more than anything, that is what Misty excels at. Misty excels at sales, but she is even better at building the relationships with the cleaning techs and ensuring the retention that, everybody is as happy as they can possibly be.
Right. Yeah. That seems quite evident. So going back to the advantages then of using an agency to find your virtual assistant? Because you mentioned you may not, what you needed at the time through Misty may not be something that even in your own industry, somebody might need. So do you think that an agency like Taskaway, who has a lot of different virtual assistants with a great deal of variety in their skill set, do you think that is an advantage than, just sort of going on Upwork or going, and trying to find somebody who might be the right fit?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, with the amount of VAs that I went through in order to get to Misty, I never once thought, well, it's not going to work with Taskaway then because I haven't found the right VA. But there were so many VAs to be able to choose from that, it was incredible. And it was just a matter of, interviewing with the people and just making sure that I found the right fit. But even in the very beginning, when I very, very, very first had a VA and I was only 6 months old in my business, I don't think I even had 20 clients yet, but I was the one out cleaning every single day. If I had hired somebody to be in person with me, I would have had to have paid 40 hours a week. I didn't have 40 hours a week for somebody to work. So it didn't make sense for me to do something like that. So, Misty has mentioned that she has other clients across the country as well. And that's how she's able to make her full-time pay, is that she does a little bit of work for all of us and we share in her salary. And I feel like I'm probably making up the majority of her salary now, but I was able to grow into it. And that's what was so amazing too, is that as a small business, you don't have the extra money to put out, but you need that help. So this is the perfect way to be able to get that help without having the huge expense of paying somebody 40 hours a week and then wondering, how am I going to give them enough work for 40 hours a week?
Right. Well, and then that goes back to you then, Misty. So there's flexibility, obviously, for Michelle in hiring a virtual assistant. What about the flip side for you? Like going through an agency and to find clients, and then ordering your work life, the number of hours you want to work in total, the number of hours you work per client, besides Michelle. What advantages do you think that like having that sort of foundation of the agency finding you clients or matching you with the right ones and being able to set your own schedule? I have a client in New Zealand, and that's a tricky time thing. With whom do you want to work? And how often? How does that work for you? What's the advantage you think for you?
So when you get clients, that's one of the first things I did, one of my questions, because I would build out questions for them, because there's certain things that I feel like I need to know, and I ask, how many phone calls do you think you get a day? How many customers have you booked in the last month? Or, there's just different things that I think a VA needs to know from that client. And then the biggest question is, how many hours do you want me to work? Because I can't just answer your phones. If you want me to work 5 hours a week, because sometimes clients did have a lull in service. And so, or a lull in booking, I should say. And so I would, they'd say, can we work, let's just do 5 hours this week. I don't really have the money right now because we don't have people coming in. So to me, 5 hours is I will answer your phones and I will peek at your email. Other than that, I'm not doing any extra work for you. We're not, working on the task. We're not working on the customers. We're not doing retention, anything like that. So as long as there's just a clear line of what the expectations. And then, some customers, they'll say, okay, 20 is my max, okay, that's fine. And I will keep an eye on it. And if I get to that point, I'll let them know, listen, we've had a lot of phone calls this week, or we've done this week. I've had to build proposals, whatever it is. And, I'll let them know I'm at this mark. So, it's only Thursday morning, but I'm at the mark. Would you like me to proceed the rest of the week? Or, how how would you like me to do this? You're going to handle the phones today and tomorrow. What are we going to do? So as long as just, I mean, you got to be open, got to be clear. So it's just knowing what they're looking for in a VA. Like we have to know from them.
Right. So do you feel like being able to turn to Maria or turn to Taskaway and say, listen, this is the kind of a situation I'm in. Do you feel like there's a buffer there between you and a client if there is some sort of issue?
Yes, I feel like I could reach out. That's just not my personality. So I will reach out to my clients if there's an issue and I'll say, this is what I'm running into. This is how I'm feeling. But I don't generally involve Maria unless I have to, because I don't feel like there's things that you don't really need to take to anybody else if you can handle them in-house is how I feel.
Right, yeah. Yeah, of course, but you have a very big personality and you know what you want and know what you can do.
Right. I'm definitely not a back office employee. I'm not. I never have been. I'm a frontliner, just always have been. So I'm going to handle situations as they come. And I think that's wonderful for VAs. And there's businesses who just need that back office assistance, who just need the behind the scene assistant. And that's perfect because we have those at Taskaway. But I'm not one of those. And that's okay because I need to be like the cleaning company. I need to be frontline. I have to be. Got a big personality to show off.
That's great. That's great. And that's part of it, that knowing yourself and knowing how you want to work and with whom you want to work and what a good fit is. Awesome.
Yeah. And I think Taskaway does a great job because there's interview processes. So I get to, in the past, I've got to meet everybody. I've either done it over Zoom or by a phone call. My East Coast client was by a phone call because she's just too busy, so we had to do it on the phone. She had no time for Zoom. So, pairing us up, they let us choose because it's an interview process. We're subcontracted. So they get to interview me as well as I get to interview them. We got to make sure that we are a good fit for them and that they are a good fit for us.
Right. And I think that's a really good point to make because that like I said, in the work I've done with Taskaway, and I've come up with some strange, misconceptions about what a VA is and what a VA can be as a career. The idea that it's just part-time, that came up a lot. And I'm thinking, well, remote work can be as long as you want it to be. It can be as full-time as you want it to be. And it seems like that's an option. It's a flexible schedule for however many hours a week that you want to work and the type of work.
But that's if your client lets you work past the hours. So Michelle is perfectly fine with me doing after hours work. So I can work in the evening if I know I need to catch up. Like if I've been on the phone all day. I think that was Monday. Monday was the phone was ringing off the hook. So I got to work. I worked until I guess, was it like 9:30, Michelle? Something like that.
It was crazy. And for the record, I don't make her work after hours.
Not at all. But there's stuff I need to get done for the next day. So I'm very scheduled and I'm very particular. I'm a hot mess, but because I'm ADHD, but I'm very scheduled and I have to have things in order. So if my ducks are not in a row before the next morning, then I'm stressed all night. So I like to get that done. And Michelle's real good about, saying, you don't have to work at night, but if you want to get stuff done, that's on you. That's perfectly fine with her. And then, you just have to make sure your clients are okay with that. And then sometimes, that might push you over hours. You just have to make sure that they're okay with that and just be very open and let them know I've got this to do yet. Because some clients want to know, they want to micromanage. They started these businesses, most of them organically. So to them, to a virtual assistant, it might be micromanaging. To them, this is their baby. This is their pride and joy. We need to be there for them. And if they need to know every step along the way, tell them it's perfectly fine. Jot it down, put it in your task. Let them know this is what I did today. This is my plan for the week. Maybe this is my goal for the month, but let them know. Michelle's real good about having this stuff set out for me already. So she's, she had it good when I stepped into it. So I got very fortunate whenever I came to Michelle. So she had it already good, and we've tweaked it along the way. So we get to work together as a team, And there's still times where she goes out in the field and she'll do a quality check every now and again, or she will pop in and help finish cleaning for the day if she knows that this house is just not what it was told to me. Because these are sight unseen for me. So I take as many notes as possible, but Michelle is still out in the field, even though, she's not as much as she was, but she still goes out there. She still builds rapport with our cleaners.
Right. Because it's not just, you have a large group of people that work for you, and it's growing larger every day. So what do you do to maintain in sort of because although your cleaning technicians are not virtual, you don't have contact with them every day. You're not in the office with them every day. So what do you do as a business owner in this sort of new way of working that pulls everybody together as a leader?
Yeah, so we do use Discord as a platform to communicate. So we have a ton of different channels. We've got a general channel that just anything. We also have an announcement channel so that we were making the announcements in the general channel, and then somebody would, say something else and it would get buried. So we have an announcement channel, and we have one for forms. We have, a separate one with each of the cleaning techs. So there are different ways that we can communicate with everybody. We have the before and after pictures, pet of the week pictures, cover your butt pictures, things like that. And then we do meet every 4 weeks for a meeting. So we are very family centered. So we have a family meal together. We have 2 cleaning techs that their previous jobs were cooks at, one was at a nursing home and another was at a hospital. So between the 2 of them, they cook the meals for all of us. We'll visit for a little bit, and then we'll have our meeting that has, the important information, and then we'll do something fun. And then we also have review roulette. So it's a spinning wheel where if you have gotten a review from one of your clients on either Google or Facebook, you get to spin the wheel to get money or a gift card. So we do that every 4 weeks. And then actually something super, super, super exciting. Misty is coming to Minnesota on Friday.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Yes. So as I had mentioned, one of our other people from the leadership team is getting married this weekend. So Misty is going to be my date for the wedding. And so on Friday night, we're going to go out together as a team, minus the soon-to-be bride, because obviously she has better things going on. So we're going to go out as a team. Misty has met a decent amount of our cleaning techs, but not everybody. So she is going to be able to meet everybody for the very first time on Friday. So that is super exciting. And then we're going to go to the wedding together on Saturday. So, yeah. So we try to do fun things like this. In a couple of weeks, we have a parade going on. So all of our cleaning techs will be coming to be a part of the parade and throw candy. And so, yeah, we do our best to keep them engaged.
Yeah. Well, I think, as a remote worker myself, that makes a big difference, even if it's an internet social, right? Because I have Canadian clients and I have one in New Zealand. So because Misty's contracted as part of your team, right? It's not just you and Misty, and then you have the people in the field. Y'all are all part of a team. And oftentimes contracted employees like myself get put on a team, sometimes temporarily. And it does feel like you're invading someone's party, that maybe you're just them there for a little while. And so I agree with you, the clients that say, welcome, it's so nice to see you, introduce yourselves, and they expect other team members to do the same. It makes a world of difference in how comfortable you are within that, even that temporary contract kind of situation. So I think that's great. All right. Well, so just because we're hitting an hour here, just to kind of wrap things up, and since Michelle, you're right here on the screen, what final thoughts, or what would you say in terms of your relationship with Taskaway, the way that having a VA has added and benefited to your business, and what maybe your future goals, knowing that you've got this system, you've got this foundation that Misty's part of, what sort of business goals do you feel like that you can set your mind on, because you do have this situation in place?
Well, I feel like there's a couple of different answers to this. So, I mean, one of the things is I've always been involved in many, many, many different things. So I have my cleaning business. I'm an EMT. I am part of the Rescue My Maid service team. I'm part of ZenMaid. So having the virtual assistant allows me to be able to diversify myself, to be able to do all these other things. My boyfriend also owns businesses as well, so I'm able to help him with different things too. So it really frees up my time to be able to work on these other projects. But another thing, which is really awesome from the standpoint of the owner, is like on Monday, I am leaving for a 2-week road trip down to Florida, and going to see family and friends and all this. I wouldn't be able to do that if I had to be in the day-to-day stuff, working on the business, working in the business every single day. I do have my responsibilities, but most of my responsibilities are no longer time bound. That was one of the things, as I was unloading things off of my plate, I wanted to make sure that nothing was time bound, so that I'm able to go and do these other things, work on these other projects, go on these vacations, be with family when I need to be with family. I just recently had surgery. I didn't have to worry about what was going to happen, while I was out for surgery. Although that was the very first time that I just was not available at all, and that's what scared me. At least usually I'm available by a phone call, so that was very scary to me. But I feel that it's really allowed me to grow my business to levels that, I didn't, when I set out to do this 6 years ago, it's what I'd hoped for, but I never thought that I would have been here at year 6. And, it's really wonderful to have such a great team of people behind me that I'm not needed in the day-to-day business. That's what makes this business scalable, is that it's not dependent on me, because I have like zero time. Yeah. Even if I have time, I feel like I have zero time. So, I mean, I wouldn't have time for the phone calls. I wouldn't have time for the interviews. I wouldn't have time to schedule the parades. I wouldn't have time to go and clean all these houses. So each part of it is so important in its own way, that we have the cleaning techs go out to clean the houses, that we have Misty to sell to the clients, to have Carly who does all of the interviews, to have Krista who does all of the extracurricular activities and the quality checks. So all of that is so important. And at the beginning, when you are small, you are able to do it all yourself or with just one other person. But as you grow, you need more and more people, because each of these people ends up getting busy in their own right. So, I mean, Misty had gotten to the point where she was like, our phone seriously rings off the hook. I mean, it is insane how much our phone rings. But if Misty takes a day off, it is crickets over here. Our phone is ringing because Misty is the one contacting these clients. And she is, she'll go back into our lost lead list, into our previous client list. If she has any extra minute whatsoever, she is calling people. And so our phone is ringing off the hook because it's the people calling her back. It's not because our phone actually rings off the hook.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, and the foresight, like, of what the possibility for your business is once you realize, oh wow, I have this addition to my team that really makes the hopeful goals really possible, reachable, which I think a lot of people do have that, your long-term goals, and maybe we don't really believe that we could hit them. But once you do have help, or you admit that you need help, it's time to get some help in your day-to-day work, that can make a huge difference. You can actually, have time to reach those goals.
I'd like to piggyback on what Michelle said about the other assistants that she does have, the rest of our leadership team. I think even if a company does already have an assistant that they are great at what they do, I think it's still great to reach out to a VA company, virtual assistant company as Taskaway, and because there's different skill sets. That's why Michelle has 3 of us, because we are each very good at our jobs. And if I come across something, we still, I still say, hey, I've got this. Can you take this right now? Because I've got too much going. So we do cross each other's paths, but we are very good at our own individual jobs. So, even if you do have an in-home assistant, in-house assistant, I should say, it's still wonderful to have a VA that can pick up those extra, like if it's an extra 10 hours a week that you just couldn't get to. I think it's still wonderful to have an extra person there.
Yeah. So what about from your perspective in terms of your professional growth? I mean, I know you've worked with Michelle for a couple of years now, so and you've got other clients as well. So where do you see yourself growing as a virtual assistant? And are you niching down, as you work with Michelle, finding your strengths and
well, I have 2 clients right now, and as I've told Taskaway and Maria, I'm full. So Michelle has, monopolized my time, and but that's perfectly fine. Now, both of those assistants would like to keep me full time all the time, and that's, I've told them both. I would love to, but I have this other one that I'm not quitting. I love them both, and that's just how it goes. Because they become family. They truly do. Their boyfriends, their children if they have any, their family, where they're going on vacation, everything about them. I mean, I know credit card numbers, you know what I'm saying? So,
I did just send you that.
Yeah. And I have, like, if they've like Michelle recently, fraud on her account. My East Coast customer had fraud on her account. So being able to just go in and be them, and sometimes you don't even have to say I'm their assistant, because I've called these insurance companies so many times and they think that Magdalena is my name. You know what I mean? So just being part of the family is wonderful.
Yeah. So you like where you are.
We click, I get to work with friends every day, and I get to talk to people every day. You're just talking about my dream job. I love it. You know what I mean?
Well, ladies, I've enjoyed this so much. I have been so gracious to share your time and to work around our scheduling difficulties for trying to get this interview and this case study done. So I know I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time, but I want to thank you so much for joining me and being so honest and helpful and helping me understand your business and how Taskaway has supported you finding one another and having such a wonderful professional relationship. So y'all have a wonderful Wednesday and enjoy your wedding weekend and your big date together. You're finally getting to
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be fantastic. I will chat with y'all soon.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.